heartbreaking. Our kids are struggling, parents and teachers are too.
With so much change already, some Fargo parents are urging the district to reconsider moving boundary lines. Hear from a victim who says her car was stolen, then used in a high-speed chase, plus how Fargo veterans are honoring Pearl Harbor Day. Valley News Live at 10 starts right now.
Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 10.
As Fargo's school district gets closer to making boundary changes, there are some who want the process put on hold. Tomorrow, school board members will rank 3 options for moving forward. Parents, meanwhile, are stepping forward, concerned about the timing of this vote and how more instability will impact their children. Valley News Team's Katie Opperly has our story.
It will notably affect them immediately.
Overcrowding at some Fargo schools could lead to changing school boundaries. The discussion has been a hot topic, and it's about to get more serious at Tuesday's school board meeting, with members planning to rank 3 proposed options.
I think if the school board puts mental health and well-being as a priority, they too will agree to pause a vote.
With the first option, all of Ed Clapp would go to Carl Ben Eielson and south. With option 2, an area west of 25th Street and north of 17th Avenue would be assigned to Ben Franklin and north. All of Kennedy would go to Carl Ben Eielson and south. The third option, all of Jefferson, would head to Ben Franklin and north. All of Ed Clapp and Clara Barton Hawthorne assigned to Carl Ben Eielson and south. With any of these 3 options, all Eagles would go to Discovery and Davies. Shep, along with other parents, say they want to save the vote for a time when there's more stability for Fargo students.
The thought of losing one of their main support systems, which is really their friends, their teachers, school resources, the thought of changing that and the upheaval of that, I think would be concerning at a time like today.
With uncertainty of the pandemic and added stress that comes along with it, Shep says students need support instead of the announcement of more change to come, especially in light of recent tragedies within the school district.
There have been recent high school suicides in Fargo, and it's heartbreaking. Our kids are struggling, parents and teachers are too. It just seems reckless to vote to take away a major support system from our students.
Either way, things would stay as is for the next year. The changes would go into effect for the 2022-23 school year. In Fargo, Katie Opperly, Valley News Live.
We are aware of parents planning to attend the board meeting tomorrow to call for the halt. To read more about the options, you can go to the VNL News app and click on this story. A Fargo woman still upset after her car was stolen and became part of a hit and run. Around 1 o'clock yesterday morning, Fargo police tried to pull over a vehicle on University Drive North, but it sped off, running through multiple red lights before hitting another vehicle. Witnesses say 2 people inside then took off on foot, eluding police. It wasn't until hours later that the owner of the car noticed it was gone. She reported it to police, only to find out it had been severely damaged in the crash.
I went outside, freaked out because my car was gone. I called up everybody I can think of who might have saw my car. My heart dropped to my stomach. I was crying. I was upset because it took me 3 years to get this vehicle.
Jade is now working with police in hopes that more answers come forward about what happened to her car. She's asking anyone with information to reach out to police. This video, you've got to see to believe, caught on surveillance camera just before 4 o'clock yesterday morning. 2 masked men pull into a convenience store, City View Fuel, break into the building, tie a rope and chain around an ATM machine, yank it through the store's window, and then drive off with it. The store's manager says she's sick about it, telling us there were thousands of dollars in that ATM.
We've had a tough year the way it is, and then all of a sudden they decide to do this, and whatever their motive was, it's like, seriously, get a real job.
The vehicle is described as a black or dark blue Toyota pickup. The suspects are described as white, about 6 feet tall. One is believed to be in his 30s, the other possibly his 50s. If you have any information, you can call the Lemoore County Sheriff's Office, 701-883-5720. CVS is hiring thousands of extra nurses, pharmacists, and pharmacy technicians in preparation of the COVID vaccine. The company says it plans to vaccinate millions of people next year. Government documents show the first vaccines will be delivered to locations across the U.S. on December 15th. That is, if Pfizer's vaccine gets the green light from an FDA panel that meets this Thursday. The daily positivity rate for COVID in North Dakota has dropped again, this time to 8.17%. 365 more positive cases were reported today, with 9 deaths. Minnesota is reporting more than 5,000 new cases, along with 21 deaths. Minnesota is following CDC guidelines and changing its recommended quarantine time. Officials stress a 14-day quarantine after exposure to COVID-19 is still the safest and best option. The CDC and state now say a 10-day quarantine with no symptoms or a 7-day quarantine coupled with a negative test would be okay. As Esme Murphy reports, these new guidelines come with a warning.
The science hasn't changed.
The governor and state health officials stress that a 14-day quarantine after exposure is still the ideal and that you can still get COVID through 14 days.
The risk of a person becoming infected while they are in quarantine is highest in the earliest days of their quarantine, and their risk of being infectious tends to wane as that 14 days goes by.
The goal is by lessening the number of quarantine days, more people will actually quarantine.
The science has not changed. It's just a refinement to make sure that we can get higher compliance to break that spread of transmission.
But if you go with the shorter quarantine, you need to be extra careful for the full 14 days.
You will continue to watch out for possible symptoms through day 14. You also need to continue to mask, maintain at least 6-foot social distance, and follow other prevention guidance.
And the shorter quarantines are not recommended when the exposure is from someone in your own household.
This is because it's difficult for household members to quarantine separately from other household members.
The governor's current pause that includes bans on indoor restaurant dining, keeping gyms closed, and even limits on small household gatherings is set to expire on December 18th. The governor says he will announce later this week if he will extend those restrictions through the Christmas and New Year's holidays.
The governor says the announcement on Minnesota's scheduled rollout of the COVID vaccine will come tomorrow. After a tough year for farmers, applications for specialty crop grants are now open. These are projects that aim to enhance food safety, help with pest and disease control, or developing new and improved seed varieties. Applications can be submitted electronically until January 13th. Final approval comes in May of 2021. Projects funded by the grants must begin by October 1st of 2021 and be completed by September 30th of 2023. There's more information on the programs and where you can apply on our website. The Ag Department, along with North Dakota Game and Fish, are opening the Coyote Catalog again to connect hunters with landowners who are dealing with coyotes. Throughout the winter, hunters can get information on participating landowners. They then need to contact the landowner to make arrangements. Both landowners and hunters can sign up online through the Game and Fish website.
A day that the president in 1941 said will live in infamy.
It is the day that continues to live in infamy. Here's a look at the Fargo AmVets, where a flag retirement ceremony took place on this Pearl Harbor Day. It was back on December 7th, 1941. Hundreds of Japanese bombers attacked the Pearl Harbor Naval Shipyard. 21 ships of the Pacific Fleet were sunk or damaged. More than 2,400 Americans were killed in the attack, and some 1,100 more were wounded.
We chose to do a flag retirement to honor every sailor, soldier, and airman that lost their lives on that day.
If you have older flags that have seen better days, you can drop them off to be retired at Fleet Farm, Lowe's, or the Northport Shopping Center. Later on Valley News Live at 10, flu numbers are lower than they've been in the last 5 flu seasons, why experts fear a spike may be coming. It's finally making its way to the forecast. Hutch has details for us next.